First of all, can you tell me how long you've been at the Crossroads Market?
We've been here for, I think it's going on 6 years now.
And it's not your only location, right?
Uh, we do the outside market at Millerville, but this is our only stable location.
Right. And can you tell me how it all began?
Well, my son was 18 years old. He's 35 years old now. He was a travel blogger, and he needed some way to support his travel habit. So he did. He had a friend, and his buddy said to him, why don't you start selling spices? He said, you like cooking with spices, why don't you start selling spices? So he did. He started grinding them by hand, and he had, at the first market he went to, which was out at Strathmore, he had, I think, 5 different blends with him. And the market manager came to him and he said, look, he says, this is your first time at the market. He said, don't feel bad if you don't make too many sales or not. Sometimes it takes a while to kind of build up that clientele. Well, the market manager came back 2 hours later and Stefan was sold out. So, and it's just kind of progressed from there. We lived in Strathmore. He continued doing the markets there. Then we got transferred out to Creston, BC, and we were in Creston for 4 years, so we did the markets there. Then we went up to Edmonton, and we did the markets in Edmonton for a while. Then my husband retired, and this was our final move to Okotoks. And so we moved down here. I retired, and we decided we were going to start going full-time on the markets. And so we were doing roughly 5 or 6 markets a week.
Oh, wow.
And then COVID hit. And so that kind of put a damper on things. Stefan couldn't travel. We didn't have any outside markets going on. So we put our name in for Crossroads Market here. And we got accepted here. And at the same time we opened our online market, which particularly right now with this Buy Canadian, the online market has been doing very well. And as you can see, we've expanded. This is our 3rd location here. Gradually it's gotten bigger and bigger and bigger, and they are at the point now where they're asking us if we'd like more space. But I think we're quite content here. We like the location. It's a good spot.
So how many different products, how many different SKUs do you have now?
We have over 400 now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, in between the whole spices and the blends, we're hitting well over 400.
And can you talk a bit about the atmosphere of being in a market and the interactions you get to have and conversations with customers?
You know what? It's always nice meeting new customers, because you can explain your story to them, you can explain how it all got started, but it's always awesome to have those repeat customers come back and, they walk in and say, hey, how are you doing today? I haven't seen you for a while, so you really, really learn to build up that relationship with your customers.
Absolutely. And can you talk a bit about your background and how this is different than what you used to do?
Well, I used to work for the bank. I worked for the bank for 19 years, and I absolutely loved my job at the bank because I got to do basically this, sit and talk to people. And even though at the time when I had to do all those courses and we were grilled on how we had to greet customers, and it all comes into play now because, when a customer leaves, I say, thank you for your business, or I call them by their first name, as long as I know it. But, it all comes into play, even after I've left the bank. I haven't worked at the bank for 7 years, but I find myself still applying all those things that I learned over the course of this 19 years.
And how does your love of travel, I assume you have a love of travel because I've heard you talking with a customer just before we started talking about some of your travels. So how does your travel play into your selection of spices, and do you discover new ones when you travel?
Absolutely, yeah. Like my husband and I, we were in St. Lucia in February. And one of the main things I did in St. Lucia was we booked into a farm tour. I went to the farm. I met the lovely ladies that own the farm. They cooked us a beautiful spread of traditional St. Lucian food. But I got to see cacao trees. I got to see sage. I got to see bay leaf. Everything that they grew on the farm. I have a video of the one farm worker peeling cinnamon bark off the trees. So, wherever we go, whatever we're doing, and Stefan actually just did that in Vietnam. He went on a tea tour, kind of exploring different types of teas that they sell there. And like last year, Stefan and Chelsea were in China. Well, they went through Szechuan province, and we have tons and tons of different Szechuan chilies and Szechuan spices. So every trip brings home a spice. And I have the St. Lucia spice. It's right up there.
Oh, yeah. What kinds of questions do you often get from customers?
Just mainly about the spices themselves. A lot of times they want to know what's in it, where it comes from, how you cook with it. And we always try to get the customers to try the spices on your usual cooking, because what we're trying to do is bring it up a notch for you. Trying to get you to explore the different tastes and flavors. Like our number one selling spice is called ushkuli, and it comes from the country Georgia. And it's got very different ingredients. It's got marigold petal, it's got blue fenugreek, it's got Georgian red pepper flake, and then the final finishing touch when I'm making it, I grind in fresh garlic. So it is without a doubt the number one spice we sell.
And what kinds of dishes is it used in?
You use it mainly in your meat dishes, but like my husband, he puts it in his chicken noodle soup. It's just, you know what? Try it. Some people put it on eggs. They love it on eggs.
And how many of the spices that you have do you grind yourself versus just coming out of a package?
I grind all of them.
All of them?
Yeah, everything is ground by me.
Yeah.
These hands. The whole spices, certainly, they come out of the big bags, and I package them in bottles, because we order in all our product from the original country. If we can get it locally, and there are a few that we can't get locally, like we get our coriander and our caraway from Saskatchewan. So, there's farms out there that actually produce the coriander and the caraway, so we get it in from there. Our supply in Canada is very limited because there's not a lot of growers. Our Nova Scotia summer savory comes from John's Farms out in Nova Scotia. So, if we can source it locally, we will source it locally.
Right. And can you talk more about this I think it's a trend, or at least it is a trend towards buying locally or buying from people who you feel like you have a connection with. Do you feel like that's maybe a growing thing?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And this election has done wonders for us again, because, like I said, people want to shop locally. They love to shop locally, and we've seen that over the years. Like a lot of people say, oh, well, the markets are kind of dying out. No, they're not. Like my shipping online, because I am local Canadian, my shipping has doubled. People want that. They don't want something that has a lot of fillers in it. They want pure. They want pure spice, and that's what we can offer.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for sharing a few minutes with me and talking a bit about the Spice Merchant.
Great. It was nice to have you offer this to me.